Good afternoon and welcome back. This is US Home Talk. We are live every Wednesday at noon and on demand at ushometalk.com or wherever you guys find your podcast. We are your host, Marcus Walgrave, with the South Dakota Home Team, powered by Hague Realtors, Jason Walgrave with the Walgrave Real Estate Group at RE/MAX Advantage Plus, and Mike Overson with Luminate Home Loans. As always, we got Evan making sure that we are kicking butt on US Home Talk, our amazing producer and insurance guru. We'll be taking all your questions during today's show, anything and everything real estate. The call-in number is 612-234-7585. Again, that's 612-234-7585. Or you can leave us a message in the comments section on Facebook. Good afternoon, guys. How are we doing today?
Woo! Doing good. It feels like we got a heat wave out there. It's in the 20s today.
Dude, oh, it's a heat wave.
It's gonna be like 28 by 5 o'clock this afternoon.
It's supposed to be what, 37 tomorrow? I think
Yeah,
37 tomorrow we're supposed to get to. Yeah. And then did you see after that?
Yeah, Sunday, Monday.
Highs below zero. So we go from a high of 37 on Thursday to a high of, I think, 6 below zero or something on Sunday.
This deeply upsets.
I mean, that's almost a 50-degree swing. You know what I mean? In high temps. So,
but let's be honest here. I mean, I think we can all agree that when we do get these Arctic, I think it's a Siberian blast is what I last seen it described as.
Yes.
So when we do get these Arctic blasts, these Siberian blasts, this morning when I was dropping the kids off, and the girls always, they look at the temp on the vehicle and they watch it go down, and even they understood. Yes. It hit 14. It's like, oh, it's nice out today. It's gonna be so nice, and it's true. Like when you leave yesterday. I mean, oh my goodness, yesterday morning was negative. What was it? -7 in the morning for high, and
cold.
Or excuse me, for the daily low, and 15 feels pretty good when you're comparing it to -7. So
yeah, the windshield was negative.
No
23,
complaints.
So
that's it. So glass half full. Yeah, glass half full. After this next Siberian Arctic blast that we get coming, was it Friday? Like Friday afternoon or something?
Yeah,
it's something like that. But once it passes, the following week we're gonna be like, oh man, let's get shorts out. It's 30 today.
Yeah, right.
Let's bust the shorts out.
It's funny because my kids are definitely interested in the weather as well. They're always looking every day, and then my boys, they're 10 and 11. They're very interested in gas prices. Like every time we drive by a gas station, they're like, "Oh, that one's got good gas prices. Oh, that diesel's pretty good over there." And it's so funny because I don't really pay attention. I just I need gas, so I don't really care. I have to get it. But they're aware of the gas prices. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, that is funny.
Siberian blast.
Some good stuff.
Sounds like sounds like a wrestler.
Sounds like
you know what I mean?
Coming down like move?
A WWE, or maybe WWE move even. The Siberian blast. It's the finishing move. The Siberian blast. I don't know what it would be,
blaster. I don't know. Something cold, we'll say.
Yes.
Something cold. Hey, we're gonna have a great show here today. As always on US Home Talk, we talk about real estate. Well, I guess today we're talking a little bit about the weather, but hey, weather and real estate. Guys, we live up north. They're correlated. I mean, we can't deny that. And so, but what we're really going to focus on is end of the year stats for 2024 and a little 2025 forecasting. As with anybody who is trying to forecast, we don't have a crystal ball. We do have a lot of experience between the three of us, decades. And so, we are confident that we're going to be very close to what we forecast for a year, for a quarter, whatever it might be. Simply because we're out there, we're pounding the pavement and we're talking to clients, we're working deals every day. And when you do that, you build up some great experience and knowledge, and you kind of get some foresight in terms of what we might see in the future. So I'm going to just jump right into it if you guys don't mind.
Let's go.
Okay, 2024. I work here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We service the Sioux Empire. The Sioux Empire is like the Sioux Falls in the metro area. We are a medium-sized city. I think the numbers just came out, and we're right around 220,000 for a population in the city of Sioux Falls. And then when you kind of add up the surrounding cities as well, well over 250,000 people. Obviously, you guys up in the Twin Cities, quite a bit larger market. Jason, we always kind of talked about this. It kind of feels like Sioux Falls is maybe about 1/8 or 1/10 the size in terms of real estate market inventory and opportunities. And when we kind of get into this, but it's interesting because I have a good friend of mine. He's my one of my fishing buddies that I'll get out outside and get out and enjoy the weather that we have. 4 seasons, and he said that up in the Twin Cities, 2024 numbers were huge. They're big for them, and we'll kind of talk about that maybe a little bit later. Why maybe a market like yours in the Twin Cities, even though that we're geographically we're near each other, in terms of proximity and the section of the U.S., but you guys might have some little bit favorable numbers. So I'm kind of interested to see what you guys have up there. But here in the Sioux Empire, our new listings went from, and what we're going to do here, guys, we're going to talk about the year of 2023, and we're going to compare it to 2024. Okay. So in 2023 in the Sioux Empire, we had 6,754 new listings. And in 2024, we had 7,518. So we had a nice increase of 11.3% in new listings here in the Sioux Empire.
That's pretty good.
Did you guys see an increase in new listings up in the Twin Cities when you compare 24 to 23?
You know what, Marcus? I haven't pulled up those stats, so I don't know the answer to that. I think I would have to. I mean, our team. As a group, we did well in 24. It was an incredibly challenging year with all the different things going on. But as the market as a whole, if I had to guess, I would say it was down from 23. But I can pull up some stats. You go through years, I'll pull up some stats for our market.
Yeah, definitely. So our sitting inventory, we are at, in 2023, at the end of the year, in 2023, our sitting inventory was 1,458 homes that were available. They were not under contract. They were active. They were ones that you could go see. If you liked it, you could submit an offer on it and move forward with it. At the end of 24, it was 1,490. So we saw just a small increase in our sitting inventory, just a 2.2% increase in inventory. Closed sales, this is a stat that we kind of talked about throughout the year in 24 that I think you guys kind of found interesting. Here in the Sioux Empire, at the end of 23 is 4,076 closed sales. At the end of 2024, we had 4,291. So we actually had an increase of 5.3% in closed sales in the Sioux Empire. Days on market, 76 in 23, 83 in 24. So it did take homes 7 days longer on average to close here in the Sioux Empire. Now, we measure our days on market different than you guys do. Our days on market is defined by the day it hits the MLS to the day it gets to the title company.
When you say gets to the, you mean closes or the day?
Yes,
when it closes.
Day it closes. Yep, okay. Yep. So the day it goes live on the MLS, it's being marketed to the public on the MLS for sale, and then it gets to the title company. I know some other markets, what they typically do is days on market is more described when it goes under contract, from when it goes to the MLS to when it goes under contract. So we kind of push it further back and say, hey, you know what? Our days on market, it's not closed until it's closed, right? And we sometimes use that phrase in real estate. And so percent of original list price received, 99% in 23, 98.6% in 24. So there's two numbers, right? Days on market, 7 days longer to sell a home in 24 than 23 in the Sioux Empire. And sellers got 0.4% less than the original list price than they did in 23. So a little bit slower and a little bit more balanced, right? Buyers are able to do a little bit better of a job during the negotiation process. Median sale price, we went from $307,900 to $319,900. So we saw a nice increase of 3.9% in the median sale price, $12,000 increase. Again, this is something that we, at the end of 23, the beginning of 24, that's kind of what we were forecasting here on U.S. Home Talk in this area. We thought that we were going to see something like a 3.5% increase in appreciation from year over year from 23 through 24. And the Sioux Empire, we were right at 3.9. So we were pretty darn close with that. So those are some of the stats that we have here in the Sioux Falls, South Dakota market.
I've got stats pulled up here, Marcus. So let's take a look at new listings. This is comparing 24 to 23. So in 23, 59,000. We had in 24, 64,000. So I'm just rounding these numbers off. So that's an increase of about 8.2% in listings. Pending sales went from 44,000 to 45,000. So an increase in pending sales of 2.1%. Closed sales, really close. Closed sales went from 44,000 to 45,000. So an increase of 1.8%. Inventory of homes for sale at the end of the year, we were at 6,700, where in 23 we were at 6,900, so that was down 3.4%. Average sale price in 23 was 435, and 24 was 450, so that was up 3.4%. So the average sale price was up 3.4%. Days on market went from 40 days in 23 to 45 days in 24. So, I mean, an extra 5 days, 12% increase. And then percentage of original list price received in 23, it was 99.3. And in 24, it was 98.7. So that's decreased about 0.6%. So about half a point. So yeah, that's pretty fascinating. I mean, I'll tell you what's crazy.
Very similar.
If you look back to pending sales in 2020 and 2021, you're looking at 65,000 both of those years, and then drops down to 52,000 in 22, 44,000 in 23. So you're looking at 24 compared to 2020 and 2021, 20,000 less pending sales. It's like a third less.
Yep.
That's
comparing
insane.
to 21.
Yeah, 20 and 21. Yeah. That's pretty wild.
I mean, the stats you guys are spitting out here make sense to me because, you know, it's Sioux Falls is a hugely growing market, right? Just the population growth in Sioux Falls is at a much faster rate right now than the Minneapolis area would be, and that's why you guys had 8% more sales this year than last year, versus we only had a couple percent more in sales, right? So that makes sense to me. In both markets, kind of exactly what we predicted would happen. Appreciation went up 3 to 3.5%, right? 3.2 and 3.4% between the two. Pretty much what we expected. And I think we're expecting that same thing for 2025, another 3 to 3.5, maybe 4%, kind of depending on what happens with interest rates.
If you look at average sale price from 2020 to 2024, it went from 354 to 450. You know, I mean, that's
354 to 450.
You know, $100,000.
And again, that was 2020 to 2024.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean,
that's pretty wild.
When I hear you kind of talk about, when we talk about sale price here in the Sioux Empire, we do use the median sale price more, simply because our data pool, the number that we're using to get our averages is just a smaller number. So when you have a smaller number, if any of you guys remember back in the day in the old math classes, if you're limited to the number of data points you have, median, the middle can be a little bit more of an accurate description of what you're having, simply because it eliminates that outliers. If we have our median sale price at $319,900, if we had a handful of multi-million-dollar homes, out there, well, that's going to skew our average pretty easy. So we use that median, but when we look at that, they're going to be pretty close, especially when you're kind of keeping it consistent when you're comparison. But
was that Swanee's?
Was
that Swanee's math class or Graph's math class? Which one?
I think I would have had Swanee. Actually, I don't remember.
Swanee?
Too
Sure it wasn't Lauren Carroll? Could have been Lauren Carroll.
Long ago. But our median sale price was $230 in 2020, and then $319,900. So we're up almost 90,000.
Yep, that's
so
incredible.
When I hear you kind of talk about your stats and our stats, you're kind of comparing the percentages, they were very similar.
Mm-hmm.
They were very similar in terms of numbers. So that's. I think what we talk. I wonder what your population increase is. Ours historically has always been right around 2.5% to 3% increase in population. That's just we've been like that for the last 60 years. It just seems like, with the exception of like 2020 and 2021, I mean, you could almost guarantee that if you pulled the numbers in Sioux Falls, that was going to be the population growth. So I wonder what the Twin Cities population growth average is a year over year. That'd be an interesting stat.
Growth. Here we go. Got the growth.
You have to ask the Google or ask the Yahoo.
The Google. Looks like between 2020 and 2023, about 2% growth per year. We have 3.2 million people in the Twin Cities. So
a couple people up there.
Just a few.
A couple. Just enough to make a football team.
Just enough.
We're not talking football today. Oh my goodness! Ouch!
Yeah,
I won't rub salt in that wound there. But here's the crazy thing is, like, I'm looking at the same exact stats that Jason has pulled up, because he's reading these things off, and I'm like, I got the same thing pulled up on my computer. So from 2019 to 2023, the end of 2023 here. So that 5-year run, right? 2019, 2020, 21, 22, and 23. Our average sale price up here, went from 328 to 434. So in that 5-year run, that's 106,000 difference in 5 years. So if you had the ability to buy in 2019, you're like, I'm going to sign another year lease, and then COVID came around, right? And you're like, I'm not going to do anything during COVID, right? Because there's too much uncertainty and stuff. So you sat and waited, right? And so then now you're thinking about maybe getting back in the market. Look what you just missed out on. You just missed out on $106,000 in your pocket simply by owning a piece of property.
Yeah.
But the past is in the past, and we cannot bring you back to 2019. I'm sorry for that. However, it's still a good time to buy real estate. I think that's why when we're talking about 24 numbers and we're kind of jumping back into those 2022, 23, 2020, 19 years, just kind of giving you guys a snapshot of time here in the last 5 years. When we talk about 2025, and we're going to try to forecast for that. When I look at what we have here in the Sioux Empire and kind of looking over my notes here, I am confident to say that our inventory at the end of 2025 is going to be up higher than it was in 24. That's what kind of everything is looking like. I also think that our closed sales are going to be up. We're going to have more inventory. We're going to have more transactions that are going to get to the title company and close on. Very similar to what we saw in 2024, just slightly more. I think that's what we're going to see here in the Sioux Empire. Rates, in my opinion, are going to be stable, likely better. I mean, I think that there's even this. Mike, you talked about this, I think last month. I'm trying to remember what show it was on, but you talked about how you were really feeling like we were going to have that refinance opportunity here. I think you said maybe in the upcoming 12 to maybe 18 months or something of that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I mean, I think that's right. I think that's what we're going to see in 2025. I think we're going to see stable rates. Buyers saw it all 2024. they were pretty darn stable, right around 6.25, 6.5. Some weeks they were a little bit higher, some weeks they're a little bit lower. However, it was in a range to where they were like, hey, the numbers didn't change that much. We're still moving forward. We're still going to find a home. We're still buying. We're going to have that same mentality. Our buyers are going to have that same mentality in 2025, in my opinion. And we're also going to see a similar appreciation too. I think in the Sioux Empire, we're going to be right around that 3 to 4% increase in appreciation throughout the year. And then kind of going back to what my point is if you think that you missed your great opportunity to own real estate 5 years ago, no. You still have a great opportunity. Homes are going to continue to appreciate. If you buy today and in 5 years from now, you're going to be happy with what things are looking like.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think if you buy a $400,000 house today, in 5 years, that thing will be worth $500,000.
I would make that bet.
I think that will still happen, right? We still have predictability with the type of inventory that we have. We're not going to crawl out of this inventory hole that we've been in for a long time anytime soon. Just because builders can't build fast enough, right? We got so far behind with new construction building from 2010 to 2020 that it's going to take 10 to 12 to 15 years to catch back up, right? Yeah. And we're only 5 years into it. It's 2025, right? We're only 5 years into the 2020. So we got another 5 to 10 years before they even somewhat catch up, right? Yeah. So you have this predictability in our real estate market of if I buy today, there's not going to be a glut of inventory that comes on. That's going to keep my home appreciation going up, and it's going to be very predictable, I think, over the next several years here because we're just not going to get that big inventory push.
Yeah, and if you think about it, Mike, when you think about $100,000, that number seems big, right? Like, $100,000 in 5 years. Well, it's only 5% per year. If you're at a $400,000 property, 5% a year, that 5 years, that actually puts you a little bit over because you've got, you got the compounding appreciation. Right. And so that's not, I think that's a very realistic prediction that over the next 5 years, we will average 5% appreciation per year. And on a $400,000 house, that's over $500,000.
Yep. And if rates stay where they're at, it's probably going to be closer to 3 to 4% per year. If rates go down, if we have rates go down and they hold steady in the fives, that's going to accelerate that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's going to accelerate that. And that's why it's very reasonable to think if I buy a $400,000 house today, in 5 years from today, that thing's worth $500,000. I would put money down on that bet all day long. In the markets we're in, because we know it, right? Because we know our markets. Other markets might be a little different. Sure. In our markets that we have worked in for 20 plus years, that's predictable. That's a bet I would make all day long.
Yep.
I was say, speaking of bets, Mike, did rates ever hit 5.5% last year at the end of the year?
They did.
Nope.
No. Well, VA hit 5.5 last year. Last fall they did.
We got to put some rules around that because could you get a VA at 5.5%?
We did. We talked. We said conventional.
You couldn't get there without points.
Yeah,
I'll pull it up.
You couldn't get there.
I took a screenshot of it. I 5.5 on VA. Now it wasn't conventional. I don't think conventional got into the fives. I think it was like 6 point. Did it?
Yeah, like a couple weeks, right?
September, the end of September, they were there for about 10 days. They got into
10 days, yeah.
But it was with a point. It wasn't raw.
Like 5 7/8. Yep. Or something. 5.99.
I remember I locked a couple at 5.625 with a point in the end of September.
I was right.
I want my $2 bill. The next time we see you,
okay, I'm gonna say, okay,
Mike, you can collect mine since you're up there.
Here's the other bet. I bet that conventional rates with, I'm just going to go for it. Conventional rates with no points will be at 5.5 at some point in 25. That's my bet.
Okay.
30 year fixed conventional.
30 year fixed conventional. Okay.
Yep.
That's something where I think that there's a good chance of that because in my opinion, inflation got brushed under the rug during this Q4 for the election. Everybody kind of like, don't talk about it. It's going to skew the voters. So just keep it hush hush. It's not gone. I think it's gonna rear its ugly head in 2025. I think they're going to the powers that be are going to try to slow down the spring market as much as they can. I think we're probably going to see rates maybe not as rock star throughout the spring market. But yeah, Jason, I think maybe we look at the beginning of fall or the beginning of summer, or excuse me, the beginning of winter. I mean, I think that's a really good. I think that's a really good forecast, a really good prediction. I think there's a chance. What do you think, Mike? You're the mortgage magician.
Well, I have been wrong before, so I'll just say that up front.
Yeah, me too.
Don't have a crystal ball. A lot of times I lean on my Magic 8-Ball that I had from 1986. And I shake that thing. I ask it a question and shake it and then take its advice there. There's a wild card with quantitative easing with the federal government, right? There's talks of them doing that. If they do that, absolutely, we will hit it all day long. We'll probably actually go down to 5%. If they don't do it, I think it maybe brushes 5.5 no point. I don't think it's 5.5 no points. I think it gets to 5.5 with 1 point. I think it gets to 5.875 with no points at some point. So that's the wild card. My wild card is 5.875 if the government does not do quantitative easing. If they do, I think we hit 5% flat.
Whoa. Interesting. So Mike, that's interesting you said that because I read an article on Wall Street Journal, at least DeMos. I apologize. I'm quite certain I butchered your pronunciation of your name. She wrote, she, I guess I'm not real certain. January 8th, the article came out. The hidden force that can bring mortgage rates down. Get in there. My shot was so little. But it was kind of going into several things that have driven rates back, including rising long-term Treasury yields, fear about accelerating inflation and shrinking number of expected Federal Reserve rate cuts, right? So the Feds what are they saying now? Like they're going to do 2 in 2025?
Yeah. I mean, that's what they talk about now. You just never know, that's the thing. It's like they'll talk about it now, but they don't know what's going to happen in the future. I mean, they get a couple months down the road and they might change their tune and be like, you know what, things are tracking better than we thought. We're going to do 4 rate cuts later this year yet. Mm-hmm. And then boom, or maybe something that's doing worse and they're like, we're going to hold rates steady. Like our plan now for the future is holding rates steady. So it's kind of weird how like just the talks of these things can start swinging the market, but really where the rubber meets the road is, do they actually do it or not, right? That's the major market swingers. So,
yeah, and so this hidden force, I don't know if it's the first time I've heard of anybody referencing a hidden force behind mortgage rates, and they were just talking about one key measure, the gap or the spread between current coupon benchmark mortgage bonds and the yield of relevant treasuries is between 1.3 and 1.4 percentage points, according to data compiled by mortgage strategists at Bank of America. That gap has been usually big for a couple years now, well above the sub 1 point gap seen back in 2019. So they were kind of making this comment like, hey, if this gap shrinks by that hidden force, that should be able to bring rates down. Like the rates are higher than what they should be based on the Treasury yields. So that's kind of again, I'm a full-time real estate professional realtor, not my lane. But it is always interesting to come across these articles and you see these. It feels next level mortgage talk. It's like, I don't know what they're talking about. I'll just call Mike. Yeah, kind of a situation. So, but yeah, I mean that it's interesting. It seems like there might be this quote unquote hidden force that should help bring the rates down as well.
So quantitative easing, do you guys know what that is? I'm guessing you guys probably don't, or do you?
Yep.
You don't?
The Feds.
So it's basically the government can artificially lower interest rates by just pumping liquidity or pumping money into the mortgage-backed securities market. So the government could come out and say, okay, you know what, for the next 12 months, we're going to buy $500 million worth of mortgage-backed securities in the mortgage-backed securities market. So $500 million a month gets pumped in that market, right? Extra liquidity brings interest rates down, brings those mortgage interest rates down. So, and Trump has talked about doing it, right? So he did it in the past. He did it in his last term. And then I think Obama did it in his term as well. So it's not like it's a new thing. I mean, it's been done a lot. But basically, they just take money, throw it in the mortgage-backed securities market, and then that just pumps the liquidity in there. Interest rates come down because of the additional liquidity in there. Very reasonable to think that we would hit a 5% flat type of rate if that happens, depending on how much per month that they pump into there.
Okay.
So
and when it gets announced, right? I mean, if this is something that he says on next week, yeah, or in a couple weeks, well, then those numbers are going to happen sooner or later. But if it's more of like a strategic move of saying, hey, we're going to do the blame game for the first 9 months of the year, and then we're going to come in there and save the day and declare this quantitative easement practice, then yeah, I mean we might see that stuff, those really attractive rates by the end of the year. 5% by the end of 2024 or 2025. If they start it, thinking, Obi?
I mean, if he comes out and they start it in March, yeah,
on a conventional loan.
On a conventional loan.
Yeah, incredible.
It could. I mean, it's
the inflation thing is what kind of has me thinking that they're going to pump brakes.
They probably will. I mean, that's the thing. You know what I mean? It all comes down to how much money they throw in there and when they start it. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of moving factors. They might not do it at all. And then now we're just talking about it'd be nice if it happened, and might not ever happen. You know what I mean? You never know. So, but is it reasonable to think that could happen if they start it early enough in the year and they pump enough money in there? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's not out of the question.
We need to get the real estate guru back on here and see if he can't shed some light on his
the Yoda.
Yep, the Yoda. And
the
see
Yoda
if he can't put some thoughts on 2025 as well here during quarter one.
Yeah, the Yoda's been probably, if you throw up interest rate predictors, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and National Association of Realtors, and you throw the Yoda in there as well, I would say the Yoda has probably been closer than anyone else as far as predicting what's happening with rates or what's going to happen with rates. Mm-hmm. So we should get him on here. Well, let's see if we can get him on here next week. We'll get his thoughts on this stuff because he's been that one thing that's kind of been spot on this whole time. So,
well, he's got really no reason to give any other to skew his opinion on the situation, and then just for how long he's been in the industry. I mean,
right.
We talk about this all the time, how valuable experience is, and I think the buyers, the consumers, the buyers and sellers out there, I saw that in my market here in the Sioux Empire. Again, a lot of transactions, more in 24 than in 23. But less realtors doing them in terms of less number of realtors. So the high quality realtors, they're capturing more clients because the clients are saying, you know what, we are going to sit down and we're going to interview realtors. We are going to take our time and make sure that we pick somebody that we feel is a true expert in the area. And I think we're definitely, that's not like a 2024 trend. That is going to be the new norm moving forward. Clients are going to make sure that they have top-notch realtors representing them and top-notch mortgage bankers and brokers, supporting their financial needs as well.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't agree more.
Awesome. Well, guys, I missed last week. Happy 2024. Super excited about, 24 is in the books. I'm super excited for 25. I think it's going to be a great year. I think buyers are going to be happy. I think sellers are going to be happy. There's definitely going to be some obstacles in the way to achieve your real estate goals. Make sure you got the right team to support you, because if you do, you will have success and you'll be very happy with how the process played out. So as our show comes to an end, we want to thank you all for taking your time to tune in live. for your support of US Home Talk. As always, you guys can find our show on ushometalk.com or wherever you guys find your podcast. This is Marcus Walgrave, Jason Walgrave, Mike Overson. Have yourself a blessed week.